The other thing that was going on in Capitol Hill yesterday was a pretty wild set of hearings into whatever the hell has been going on with these UFOs or UAPs, whatever you want to call them. We've all seen probably these images and videos of these objects that they still have not been able to explain what they are, where they came from, how they're able to move and operate in the way that they do. And one of the star witnesses yesterday was a man named David Grush, who served a lot of years in government and has come forward as a whistleblower. Not saying that he has direct knowledge of some pretty wild secret government programs to recover alien craft. That I'll show you some of the allegations that he made yesterday. But that he says he was sort of read into these things, that he knew people directly that were involved in them. So he is recounting what he knows allegedly of these programs. So let's take a look. This was one of the probably more shocking moments where he says that the U.S. government is in possession of UFOs and non-human biologics. Let's take a listen.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
So non-human biologics, that's pretty remarkable. We also had another moment where he confirms, and again, this is all under oath, that UFOs and the U.S. government have physically injured multiple colleagues of his. Let's take a listen to that.
At one point, you had said that there has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured. And the activity, and I got
by UAPs or by people within the federal government?
both.
Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So what I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing.
And then the last one that I will share with you is he also alleges that the U.S. government has known about non-human intelligence since roughly the 1930s, and that there has been effectively a global cover-up of these phenomena. Let's take a listen to that.
Has the U.S. government become aware of actual evidence of extraterrestrial, otherwise unexplained forms of intelligence? And if so, when do you think this first occurred?
I like to use the term non-human. I don't like to denote origin. Keeps the aperture open, both scientifically. Right. Certainly, like I've discussed publicly previously, 1930s.
So there you go. Those were some of the key moments, Kyle. And just so people know, David Grush, U.S. Air Force officer and former intelligence officer. So he says he was made aware of these programs, but he was not directly involved with them.
Okay, so this is the first time I saw those videos. As I know, Twitter was ablaze yesterday with all this talk. So first of all, just to temper everybody a little bit here, this guy also has said UFOs come from another dimension, and he says they were covered up by Mussolini and the Vatican. So I just want to warn everybody, just because somebody is wearing a suit and tie and talks really official doesn't necessarily mean you take everything they say at face value. I mean, look, the bottom line is this. You claim all these things. These are big things to claim. Show the fucking evidence. We could talk all day long. We could sit here and talk all day long. If you're not showing me the evidence, then what do you want me to do? The best position, even if I'm being as most kind as possible to these people, is to say, I'm agnostic. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, my real default position is like, you're full of shit until you prove otherwise. But if I'm being kind, I say, I don't know. Like, okay, I just don't know. Show me what you got. We can't just talk about this. Like, either these things that we're talking about here, UFOs, either they have some sort of natural origin, whatever, a test from a military base where the thing goes off track, crashes, whatever.
Right.
Either it's a natural origin, it's real as in, like, we genuinely don't know where the hell it came from, might be non-human, or it's a total hoax, right? Or it could just be totally faked by people effectively, like, pranking us or playing an elaborate scheme or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Those are the options. Given the amount of evidence we have right now, I don't know how anybody can say anything other than either I'm not buying it or I just don't know, you got to show me more.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of like, oh, it's over. It's over. And, somebody made a good point on Twitter that I wanted to bring up here. U.S. Space Force, it started with a much lower budget. Now the budget hit $30 billion in a 2024 proposal. And I'm not going full conspiratorial, like the whole reason for these hearings is to like give an argument to now we must beef up Space Force. But it certainly is convenient that like, oh my God, we're fear-mongering over, non-human aircraft. Oh my God, they're here. It's crazy. Look at what's going on. It's proven, all this. And then it's like, okay, let's jack up the funding for U.S. Space Force.
The reason I don't buy that particular conspiracy is that I just think that the military gets whatever money it wants whenever it wants.
That's facts.
And so I don't know that they would need to invent an elaborate UFO conspiracy
true.
And alleged government cover-up of said UFO conspiracy going back to the 1930s to get their budgets fattened because they just do that with ease all the time anyway. So that particular conspiracy I don't buy. I mean, I put myself in the camp of agnostic because on the one hand, you hear these claims and you're like, really? Global cover-up since the 1930s involving the Vatican and Mussolini and every U.S. president and Brazil and whatever other governments were involved in this. And we have no greater proof than, this whistleblower who doesn't even have direct knowledge of the programs himself coming forward and saying what he says. And a part of me, too, is now what they say is he's totally willing to name names and tell more about,
He said I can't in that.
Right. So he what he says, in fairness, is that he wants to do that. But some of this information is classified. It would have to be revealed in the SCIFs. And they asked for one of those SCIFs, the like special classified setting where you can do stuff like that. And the intelligence agencies were like, no, you can't have it.
Okay, but the intelligence agencies slapped that down, but then we have congressional freaking hearings on the topic?
Yeah.
Wouldn't they put the kibosh on that also if they were really working behind the scenes to stop all this stuff?
Maybe, but I think
more
members
air in it than anything else.
Part of why members of Congress, and it is bipartisan, are pushing forward with this is because they also feel like some of their requests have been stonewalled. So they're like pissed off about, they feel like there are things that are being kept from them. And so that's part of why there is this growing sense of like, all right, we're going to push for answers. We're going to put these people up there. We're going to push this thing forward and try to demand transparency. And again, there are members on both sides of the aisle that are interested in this. So anyway, on the one hand, I look at the claims. I'm like, I don't know. That's a lot to swallow. On the other hand, I look at the videos and the images that have been released that they still have no explanation for.
They're always so goddamn grainy.
But they have no explanation for a number of these videos. I mean, they did this whole investigation report and they spun it to the New York Times of like, it's probably nothing, but we don't actually know what it is. And it's like, okay, well, if you want us to totally rule this out, you got to have some kind of explanation for things moving in a way that defies our understanding of current technology and physics. You got to have some explanation for that for people to just completely dismiss it.
But I agree. But then when we get to the conclusion is where we depart. No explanation means there is no explanation. Everybody watching this goes, it's aliens for sure. And it's like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And again, all I'm asking from this guy is evidence. Now, he could say, oh my God, the deep state and men in black are preventing me from releasing any of this. He said humans got injured by aliens. We don't have some records from 1974 in Cleveland, Ohio of some motherfucker going in there with a wound that was bright purple or something. Like, what are we talking about here, bro? It's a great old Christopher Hitchens quote. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
No, absolutely.
Right? So all I'm asking for everybody is there are two positions that I find acceptable. I'm calling bullshit until I see more. I accept that position. Mm-hmm. My actual position is I just don't know. But, you're going to need to come with a lot more than some dude in a suit and tie who's got a questionable history saying stuff in front of Congress. Because you know what else was said in front of Congress? We had the whole Red Scare McCarthyite bullshit that unfolded in front of Congress with all these guys in committee hearings wearing suits and ties and, I hear your neighbor is suspected of being a communist. Oh, no! And they made a whole big dog and pony show about this is a very serious issue. It wasn't fucking serious. It wasn't. It wasn't. And this could fall in that same category. We just don't know yet.
Red Scare, but for aliens.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. Well, should we get to the interview?
Yeah, let's do it. So time to talk to my favorite centrist YouTubers, Sitch and Adam. We're going to be debating who's more authoritarian, the woke or the anti-woke. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm.
Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.